Hello, welcome to BTT, aka Bubble Tea Time, aka the show that prevents me from grinding TFT. I'm your host, Brian, hard stuck in Plat 1 win. Here's Dan, Helion Addict,
Wait a second.
Andrade.
That's not true. Forget
Will, yeah,
Forgotten Addict. We'll call Forgotten
there you
Addict.
go. Will, I'll climb when I goddamn feel like it, Chang. And then Elena, TFT's for
TFT sucks.
losers,
Yeah,
Injures.
it is.
We're here today to bring you the highlights, the commentary, all the action from week 7. I think that was last week. Yeah, week 7 of Bubble Tea League, and let's preview week 8.
And chat's popping off on Mr. Poro over there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Nobody sees Sinar though.
Uh-oh. Okay. Well, let's get started. No need to waste time. We've got a match recap. Everything's filled out in this match recap, except for one game, which has actually been played today, and we haven't updated the graphics. But yep, AR won that game in a nail biter for sure. Yeah, let's go into the first one. GB versus Deep Dive, where GB took home the gold. And who wants to take this one, boys?
I'll take
And
over.
Elena.
This was a very back and forth game. Honestly, Steven fell down 1-4 at one point in this game, and he's able to come back and become relevant in this series. And particularly here, they set up a trap and collapse on the entire team, and Good Boys set up Steven for a pentakill. And I believe it's the first and only pentakill so far.
Yes, at least this season.
Yeah, this season.
He almost got 2. Got a quadra later in the game.
Yeah.
Boom. Front of the base, baby. Yeah, I mean, he definitely fought his way back to relevancy there. But his bot lane, I think, were the stars of the show up until the Penta and then the Quadra. Angela, Asian Problems, they really had a field day that game. Alki played really well, and they really buoyed the ship until Steven could get back, into his headspace and start dunking people. Um, yeah, I mean it was a pretty impressive showing. Did you think like was there a point where you thought after Steven had died a couple of times, he even got solo kill level 2? Did you think like it was too far gone, or
Mm,
were you
I
guys
felt
always kind of
I
sure
felt
it
there
could
was a
be turned
point
around?
where like Steven would have been too frustrated, tilted from dying over and over again. Particularly, didn't he get solo killed a couple times?
Yeah, he
Like,
got solo kill like level 2.
yeah. So I think he was just like trying everything in his power to come back. And sometimes when you do that, you just dig yourself deeper. And it was just Angela coming back, bringing it home for the team.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to our next match. I can't remember which one that was in the graphic.
It's
Awkward. Oh,
mine.
MBB versus MBS. Some would say this is an upset, but others would say that this has been a while in the making. MBB has really looked on the upturn, and they really showed it in a 26-minute win against NBS. Let's fly the clip.
Oh yeah, let's watch
You want to
this.
take this one, Elena?
Yeah, I'm gonna take this one. All right. So basically, what had happened here was we knew they were coming to Rift. The three of them were all up here.
Oh,
Yeah, the big arrows. We do this big smash. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, basically, we all knew the Rift was happening. Us two from the bottom move up. I'm like, does Ash have arrow? Brad doesn't say anything. He just shoots it out, and then we win. So
He sees the angle before it
means
could
y'all on
happen.
the same wavelength.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a pretty monumental match. And NBS and PO are both, two of the, streaking teams at the start of the league, but they've had their stumbling blocks, and I think, there's no shame losing to MBB here. I think MBB is starting to get stronger and stronger, and depending on how the last couple of games go, they could really make a make a pretty big splash in the playoff picture, since there's so many teams at the logjam for the 6th and 5th places. All
True.
right.
Additionally, like the synergy between uh, Caribou and uh, Zoidberg with their terrain manipulation was kind
Oh
of nuts.
yes. Oh my
Kept
god.
interrupting Scion over and over again.
Yeah,
In case people
pretty.
haven't figured out it, you always ban Nivea against Colin.
Yeah, they gave it Nivea. What's up with that? You never give the bird to Colin. Come
Oh,
on.
Colin's too spooky. They had to ban 3 champs.
Yeah, and I think
Colin's like D1 on a Nivea and like 2 or 3
No.
divisions below that on every other champ.
I was about to say, don't say it, Will.
yeah, I mean, I think like Colin actually did a really good job after getting camped like out of his mind at the start of the game. He did a really good job of recovering and providing a lot of value, especially with the
Oh
walls and
yeah.
stuff like that. So props to Colin for keeping his mental in check.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because that Leona was not about to leave that lane.
All right, let's move on to the next match. And
In
it
this
is the one that just
match,
happened. We can review it because why not?
we
We don't.
got the
Do we have a
clip.
clip?
Fresh
We
Yes, we
do
have
wounds.
a clip.
have.
Sorry,
We do
sorry for
have
Yeah.
the clip for this.
AR versus EXO. This almost was the first win on the board for EXO against the best team in the league, but it wasn't meant to be. Do we have a
So
clip?
close.
we
Yeah,
do
we got the
Let's
clip.
fly it. All right, we all watched
right
this.
at the
So,
end of the game.
the pick on the Aurochs. He stopwatches, but it isn't enough. He'll go down, and then it's the 4v5.
It just becomes steadily worse. And the one person of the 3 tanks that didn't want to face check is the one that gets face
Right.
checking.
And then here, Man Puppet actually makes a pretty colossal play here. Have you watched the Diana?
Yeah.
As the play takes down, they're trying to pressure the 5v4 on the base. And Man Puppet finds the angle and pops the GA on Cincy.
Where is he?
Cincy just
Oh,
farming, trying to push these waves
oh
off, tries to enter the fight,
jeez.
and Man Puppet just goes backline against the world. Takes the GA, barely loses HP in the process. And down goes Cincy, and that's the game. They really tried their hearts out here. EXO, they've done this to us before. They've kind of debated us with some really strong early games into mid-game fumbles, but this wasn't really a mid-game fumble. This is like their mid-game. They finally, it finally looked like, oh man, maybe they figured it out. Like since he's getting back into it, making some plays, and then things started crumbling again. Um, sad to watch for someone that wants to see EXO pick up wins. Hopefully they'll come in playoffs or what's their next game against MBB? That's one. And then their last game, I don't know who it's against. I don't know, off the top of my head, I don't know. But hopefully they'll see some more success in those games and in playoffs. But this one just wasn't meant to be. An AR continues their rise as almost surely the first seed now. I guess they can only really not have the first seed if they lose both their next games, and then I don't know,
The other teams win.
everybody else wins out, or I don't know. I think AR has all the tiebreakers essentially with all the top teams like THD and PO anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
NBS is the only one. NBS already has 3 losses. So
Okay,
um,
but do they
yeah.
really want to be first though?
I mean, true. The first seed is never won BTL.
No, it's
And
the
the
first
AR
seed
would know that
curse.
as
Yeah.
they were first
Mm-hmm.
seed last season.
Mm-hmm.
So
Tis
you're
tis.
saying AR throw your games? Is that what you're saying, Elena?
No, I'm saying stay in first, so we know they won't win.
Yeah. I do
Fair.
think, yeah, I mean, definitely they can bleed though. I mean, they've already lost obviously to NBS. But this game, some of the other games that they've had have been pretty rocky at some points. This game was pretty rocky in some points, and I think going forward we should see some pretty interesting games against AR and see if anybody can really contest them at the
Mhm.
peak of their powers right now. All right. All right, next game. Let's go. It was PO, that's my team, versus THD. That's none of y'all's teams.
It's a
Um,
banger series.
Yeah, this happened. This game was at the start of the week, and it featured a lot of different roles in this game from our team and some pretty interesting picks from THD. So let's fly replay. I guess I'll take this one. We get a pretty early lane lead here, get a chunk, and we start debating them. I flash into the bush, but my team is here, and that's all we need. This gets us a really good start to our lane phase. It was in the game plan to abuse the Swain pick. We just don't feel like it's super powerful, and there's a lot of ways around it. Nikolai TP's in to try to convert the play, but he actually ends up giving another kill over. Even though Pentamassa goes down, and this bodes really well for our lane phase. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty early in the game, and there's a lot of game left in this game. I thought you were gonna pick a Lynch clip or something, so I'm really confused why you didn't pick a Lynch clip. But
mean,
He
I
did.
he
did
played really well.
consider it, but they didn't win.
That's fine. I don't care. Anyways, yeah, I mean, it was a really back and forth game. We had 2 hours before this. Well, actually, the day before this, we were like, hey, let's do a 4-man lane swap, and we did. And then it was all right. And then we got blasted in scrims by MBB, and then we were like, all right, maybe this isn't the play.
Yeah.
So we did another lane swap like an hour and a half before the game or something like that. Got 2 quick practice games in, and then just ran with it. Um, and somehow took THD down. I think THD had a pretty they played a lot of those mid game fights pretty phenomenally, especially Limch of course. But I think Kane, Limch, and Galio combo diving backline was a lot to deal with from a lot of different angles, and they were really good at being patient and setting up those angles. Um, Luckily for us, we just kind of in the end we had fights where they weren't allowed to get those angles, and then we could actually play back in those fights. And those fights ended up going in our favor, as is probably the case when you have Orion and Ezreal on the same team, and you can play front to back. So yeah, that said, I mean that was a pretty crazy game. I think THD is a really strong team, and they should continue showing it in the remaining 2 games. Yeah, who's against them next week? Oh, TSC. Yeah,
Jesse.
good luck TSC.
TSC.
Yeah, good luck. All right, let's get to the last one.
All right.
All right,
There we go.
last one was TSC versus
TSC versus second
Second
breakfast. I'll be
Breakfast.
taking this one.
Yeah, let's go.
Let me go ahead and roll the clip. I believe we are looking at a dragon fight. You can see me on Malphite. I'm going for the TP, and then Silas actually stops me, which doesn't bode well for our team, which allows TSC to get off a giant initiation on us. I actually thought Silas used all of his things to stop my teleport beforehand. He used his Everfrost, he used his chains, and then he took my ult to finally put the nail in the coffin and just stop me from getting to the fight. And then you can see my team getting blown up by the rest of their team.
And then Mumu still burns at the end there. Jeff gets cut out. I remember hearing Jeff going, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, brand just keeps ticking on and on and on.
And Leandri's on brand. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I mean, definitely. I'm sure this is a game you guys want back. It went down to the wire, like pretty much every game this week. Honestly, who would have thought that's at the start of this week that, or maybe a couple weeks ago, that the closest game, or not the closest game, the biggest blowout would actually be NBS versus MBB, where MBB started taking control in the mid game and then just kind of snowballed it to a victory. But every other game was really testy. ARXO clearly was really testy, as we just saw. PO went down to the wire to late game team fights that eventually went our way. SB TSC, this game was close the entire game. And then the GB game, like Steven was feeding his ass off until he wasn't, and then killed everything. So like, I don't know, it was a pretty good week for BTL. Pretty exciting matches, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that you guys wish this one was less exciting and just in your favor the whole way. But
I mean, must say, with the start of the week with THD and PIO, I didn't expect the rest of the week to actually match up with it. I was like, this is the hypest game of the season. All the other games are garbage. It's done. And no, the whole league really stepped up and delivered quite the show.
How are you guys doing with the new AD now?
Ah,
Mr.
questions
Savory,
already.
Yeah,
Saber's pretty good.
savory.
I he's got really good attitude. Is willing to try stuff out. It's got some couple of cheeky bot lane picks that
Ooh.
is wanting to throw out. Same as Will wanting to play Senna top.
Hmm.
There's a challenger game of Senate Top I need to send you, Dance. Can I play it?
Ah.
all right, now that we're done with recaps, we can move on to the fun stuff, aka dance
Dance
stats.
stats.
Oh yeah,
Everybody's favorite segment.
that's
Yeah,
true.
highlighting Plobe and Limsh 96. This is gonna be a good matchup to see, even if the stats don't necessarily show it here. These two players are critical cogs of their teams. Probably, I mean, honestly, might be just the two most important players on both their respective teams, honestly. Um, and so, with that said, they'll go head to head in a matchup between two 5-2 teams, looking for the higher seed, I guess, the highest seed possible that they can fight for. Who do you have in this matchup, Dan? And which are the stats that stand out most to support that?
I think the kill participation for Lynch, in particular for me, stands
Mhm.
out. Like he is a playmaker and plays with his team. He syncs up with Misa very, very well and looks to make plays with him. Um, and for PJ, I think the biggest thing is you notice that he has a higher vision score, and he's looking to split push a lot of the time. And you need vision for that. And he's willing to play carries. Like we saw that game against NBS where he played Kale and just snowballed. So if PJ gets a lead early on, he's definitely gonna throw it all the way to the enemy nexus.
Nice, nice. How do you think this matchup will inform how this game is actually played then? Do you think it'll be like, split push versus team fight with Plobe, uncontested on side lane while the other team like Unga Bunga's onto his, or like how is this gonna play out
I
considering
think
these styles?
I think it's gonna be a heavy emphasis on bot lane, with Darren Limsh 96 neutralizing. They did it against us, trying to neutralize Will, um, who's also known for playing split pushers. And if Misa can just break through Poe Panda's jungle, I think it should be favored for THD.
Gotcha. All right, it'll be exciting to watch. We'll get to previews soon, TM. So everybody can pitch in who do you think will actually win the matchup and who will actually win the game. Um, actually, I think that's literally next. Let's go. BTL predictions. Go, go, go.
Predictions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I predict Dan will be hard stuck in D2 for around like 50 games.
Hey, I'm currently hard stuck gold 3.
Ooh, well,
So you've got about
you're
100 more
to
games to get
D2
there.
at the very least. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. First off, let's go NBS versus GB. We've got a split vote here, 2 versus 3. And one of those people is not here to defend themselves. So let's go with GB for Dan's prediction of GB taking home the gold against NBS. Why do you think GB has the edge?
I think Steven might actually be able to abuse Yui's mistakes in lane and take over from there. And if Steven has a lead and he can move that around to elsewhere on the map, um, it should be a lot more effective. Also, I think Charlie is slowly coming back to form. You saw him this last game where he Flame Horizoned in the jungle on Diana. So I think that's a strong case for GB. Also, got to throw in some uh, changes in our predictions just to spice it up.
Yeah, and then Will, why do you think NBS is the one here, the chosen one?
I feel like NBS is overall a stronger team. They make very, very good plays. They can move around the map better. I think they cooperate overall as a team. And that's kind of where Steven kind of preys on weak teams, right? We've seen Steven in the past take control and just like make insane plays across the map, and the other person's team just isn't able to answer Steven and collapse on him appropriately. And even when they do, he somehow gets out. He's had, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 great escapes from last season alone. But I feel like MBS they'll be able to control Steven, even if one lane gets sacked.
Right. Yeah, I think I think that's why I predicted MBS too. I pretty much think that MBS is I don't know, a team that's on the same page compared to GB. GB seems a little disjointed sometimes. Um, and I think one of the biggest things that has lost to teams that accelerate pace too quickly for them to keep up. So like MBB just accelerated in the mid game, foot on the gas, and just ran them over. THD kind of did the same thing. Like things just got out of control real quick, and that was something that MBS like wasn't prepared to deal with. And TSC, same deal. Even though there's a Kale in the top lane, that game was kind of over before it began. Nick Me got really big, and it was just kind of like a gigantic snowball rolling down the hill. Um, I'm a little fearful of that happening again. Against GB, but honestly, GB's early games have been like kind of anemic, right? Like they haven't been the team that just takes over from the get go and brings it home to the end. I think that GB, like in this last game too, like it was testy. They needed to buy a lot of time with their bot lane for Steven to get back in the game. Then other times it's Steven buying time for their bot lane to get back in the game. I just don't know if you can do that against NBS and really get away with it. Even a good team like AR kind of took it slow, and taking it slow against NBS did not go their way for their only loss of the season. So NBS can even take down Titans if they're allowed to play their style. And I don't know if GB can dissuade them from playing that style. So.
All right, Charlie, you're in the chat. Challenge accepted.
All right, let's move on to the next prediction. It's a nice one.
That's
It's
us.
very, very green here. MBB versus EXO. So, I mean, these predictions were made before EXO had this banger game against AR. That said, I mean, that's a lot of green we see. And I think, even with this banger game against AR, I think MBB should definitely be the favorites here. So let's toss it. I guess we'll toss it to Elena. Why do you think your team's going to win?
I'm not sure.
What do you
Uh-oh.
mean?
Well,
So you're saying that you're gonna lose?
I think for us, like honestly, I think the jungle gap is gonna be too hard.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's Soper or Javier.
No, it doesn't. But yeah, I think jungle gap is gonna be too hard, especially now that we're syncing better with, or at least I'm starting to sync better with Adam. Once we start moving around, the Sopa Javier, whatever, they're not going to be able to do much. And I don't think the lane and bot is strong enough to, I don't know, oppress us or anything or keep us from moving away. Mid, who's their mid laner? Oh, maybe Javier. I don't know. NBD. Top lane is the spicy one,
NPT.
yeah. Top lane is the spicy one though. Because I
Oh,
feel like Tim and Mayo can both potentially get ahead and be super annoying for the other
okay.
team.
So the important question is Tim getting to play Mordekaiser against Mayo so that he gets his revenge?
I'm not sure. We'll have to wait to find out.
Oh my god.
Why do you guys think MBB is taking it home then? since you guys both voted for them too.
we s- I, as Elena pointed out, like jungle gap, but I really think it's jungle support synergy. Like
Hmm.
Elena and Adam have been synced up so many times in the last couple games, and their play together, playing off vision and off of Adam's just ag- aggro tendencies uh, to counter jungle and just look for fights, really accelerate pace and bring wins to MBB.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on a hot streak now. So let's see what they can. I mean, they're if they win against EXO, they'll be on like a 3-game win streak, straight into an AR matchup. So it'll be pretty interesting. Let's and maybe EXO throws some wrenches in the mix, and that doesn't even happen. So let's hold with bated breath until next week. All right, next prediction, the third one on the board. It's TSC versus THD, also a split vote here. The two TSC voters are not here to defend themselves, so
Oh
who wants to take the
no.
mantle? Why TSC could how TSC could win this.
All right.
Let's do another resident split pusher. Will, how can TSC win this? Or how do you envision a game if it goes TSC's way? How does it go TSC's way?
It goes TSC's way if Plobe gets one of his priority picks. He has too many picks to handle, though. Darius is a very strong team fighter. Fior is probably his go-to split pusher, who just is a beast even now after the new patch and item changes. If Plobe is just left unchecked, then I think that's TSC's ticket to victory. Also, so that means that if THD isn't able to match him in a 1v1 and starts sending jungle pressure up top, that also um, gives TSC some time to send the jungle down bottom and get bottom. And I feel like the meta right now is the top lane doesn't have a huge impact. You can go 10-0, you can go 12-4 as Lynch did on Lee Sin and still lose the game. But PJ split pushing is still good for even these tournaments because you're able to take advantage of people who have a lack of team like communication. They're not able to answer a split pusher. So PJ doesn't really need to go to 12-4. He doesn't need to go 1-5 as long as he takes advantage of the split pushing. I feel like that might be their ticket to victory.
I
Gotcha.
also
All right.
think Nick
Go ahead.
Mead's been looking really good this last couple of games. We put him on an immobile AD carry against us, and we could not pin him down somehow.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean he's definitely been on something. There was that match against NBS where he just kind of like started going off and then never stopped going off. All right, Dan. So how does THD? Like I mean, everybody else in this call voted THD. How do they win?
Called it earlier in dance stats. Misa goes and destroys the enemy jungler, and then everybody else in the enemy teams follows suit. They do have a sub, Anne Marie coming in for man butts, but I still think that should be fine. Misa's played with Bananas before, got all the way to the finals when they played together, so there's still synergy there.
Yeah, I mean those finals, season 5 finals, Anne-Marie was a one-man army, so took the entirety of MBB or not MBB, Panino Divino to shut her down. So we'll see if she makes another mark on the league once again 2 seasons later. All right, and then our final prediction, not final prediction, we have 2 more.
Almost.
Next
Well.
prediction, Deep Dive versus AR. It's a lot of purple. Sea of purple. I don't really know how you could argue for Deep Dive winning here, but I mean, this game against EXO is pretty sloppy. So maybe maybe there's some more stuff here. What do you guys think? Elena.
I believe Deep Dive is getting a sub for jungle too, so so
Uh,
and I feel like that's
So, what's the
where
percentage?
I think if AR is just like um I don't know, if AR is just chilling like they have been for most of this season, I don't know what Deep Dive can do.
All right.
I-
Jay says that your single argument for how Deep Dive wins is you watch this last game an hour ago.
but AR still won though.
yeah, and the thing is, EXO has been able to generate leads against a
Right.
lot of teams.
Yeah. pretty much
I
every
mean,
team, I believe.
yeah, some teams. I mean, Deep Dive hasn't really done the same thing. They,
No.
I don't know. I don't think. I mean, they're a team that indexes for later in the game, but that's like the AR comfort zone. I don't really know if you want to get into a team play kind of state against AR if you're not confident in it. I mean, EXO has something that a lot of other teams don't have. I mean, EXO is kind of in the MBB mold where they just take over in the early game and try to dominate you. Hasn't worked out nearly as well for EXO as it's starting to work out for MBB, but I don't really see Deep Dive replicating the same thing EXO did here, especially with the sub jungler, who may or may not be on the same page as everybody else on their team. So it'll be hard, but I mean, I think I mean, I do think like the one loss the AR had was a really long game against NBS, where NBS had a really strong macro game and kind of like clutched it out to the end. And then the games that have been close, like this EXO one, it was actually like late game stumbles and stuff like that. And this one or mid game stumbles that let EXO back in and potentially in the driver's seat for a short period of time. I don't know. I think you just have to have like really good mid game macro and make sure that you have not too big of a hole coming into the match.
Mhm.
It remains to be seen if Deep Dive can make sure that they're not in too big of a hole coming into like that mid game. So, all right, last prediction. A lot of us on this call can't really say much to this since we're about to play it tomorrow even. But Elena,
All right.
you can take the mantle of all the people predicting
All
PO.
right. Predicting PO and predicting
Yeah,
the
so I don't
SD.
know who you predicted because you didn't predict anybody. So who would you predict? Who would you predict, and why do you think they'll win?
Elena only predicts the winners.
True. 100% prediction rate. Let me think. It's really sketchy because PO just did their swap. I don't know if they've even practiced this week
Nope.
to keep trying it. so,
0 games. 0 games. Feels bad, man. Not for lack of trying, I guess. But feels bad, man.
So I don't know if it'd be like that one-sided, to be honest. I'd probably say PO in the end, because I would trust their shot calling more, and I feel like right now the bot lane is. Well, actually, wait, who's even bot? Brian's bot?
Brian
Who
is
knows?
the master.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
probably me.
I was just about. I
Probably
was
me.
thinking it was Mina and Chase, but I don't know. Both of you guys just got new bot lanes, so
Yeah,
I
great.
mean, I think I would still favor the Brian bot lane though.
Well,
Uh-oh, dance.
what if
What
what if
if I
we
told
break
you?
Chase down completely?
I
Hey, I've
mean,
already done that for you. So you can go on to step 2 now. His mental's already shattered. Go on
true.
to
Oh,
step
so you're
2.
saying if he has no mental, he can't be broken?
Mm-hmm.
Fair, fair. Um, I mean, Nick might surprise Mina. I think
Mm-hmm.
Nick tends to catch people off guard with picks and angles that honestly not even I know what he sees. But he's like, I'm gonna sit here in a bush. They have no vision. Somebody's gonna walk through. I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna kill you.
I mean, you got a solo kill out of it last game.
Yeah.
We take those. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. It'll be a fun match. We haven't practiced at all. Hopefully, we'll get like a game in with like 3 of our members after this call. I don't know. So we'll see. I don't know. It'll be pretty hands up in the air for us too. Um, but yeah, we're hoping that mechanical
Bring it
and like
together.
our mechanical prowess in fights and stuff like that will carry the day. But realistically speaking, we do want a lot of practice. So I think this game is going to be a pretty good one. And one day, soon TM, your bot lane is going to click, and when your bot lane clicks, we'll get to a spot that feels a lot better, for your team too. And I think like this losing streak that you guys are on. I mean, it's been a tale of 2 halves for you guys, opening up really strong at the start of the season and then stumbling a little bit after the switch. So I think once it starts clicking, I think it'll be better in the long term for sure. So Hopefully the long term doesn't start right now, or this week at least. So that's the hope.
What? You don't want the nightmare scenario where you have to figure out tiebreakers
No,
again?
there's gonna be plenty,
There's gonna be
surely.
plenty.
Speaking of tiebreakers, hinges on our standings. Let's flash our standings. It's not fully updated because there is a quick
Standings.
shift here. AR is at 6-1, essentially guaranteeing a bye,
Mm-hmm.
unless they really stumble down the stretch here. And then Executive Ward's 0-7. Essentially, I mean, they're definitely already guaranteed into the lower bracket. Same for a deep dive. Bit brutal for EXO and Deep Dive sitting at the bottom standings, but everybody else is in a log jam. And we're talking about tiebreakers. We should talk about the most relevant ones of all. Who is going to the upper bracket? Who's going to the lower bracket? Because the top 6 go to the upper bracket, and if you look at numbers 5, 6, 6, 6, I guess everybody 5 through 8, they are stuck and beating the crap out of each other.
We got the head to head.
You do. That's big for SB. And it gives you guys a really good chance of making it to the upper bracket as the 6th seed potentially, or maybe higher if you just win out the rest of the season and other people stumble. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't really ask you guys which ones you guys think will jump up to the 5 and 6 slots. So I'll ask myself.
No. The other question is: does anybody in the topper bracket drop down?
Right. I think let's go with that one first. Who drops down? Since all of you guys can answer that, and you're not on the bubble as much.
I mean, who is NBS against their last two
Pio.
weeks?
Last week is their last week's game is or next week's game is Pio.
And then the
Or not next
last,
week's. Week 8. Wait, week 8 they're against GB this week and then they finish against Pio.
and then PO. Oh,
So I would favor PO for end of the last week.
I feel like
It
might
really
be
is going to depend how they bounce back from the MBB loss.
against
And
GB.
yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
I feel like it could be a 1-1 for them, pretty
yeah,
naturally.
I think Student Council is going to have a tough time. They have THD next. I think THD is a really solid team. I think TSC is going to have a really tough time breaking THD. And then who's their last game? TSC. Let's check.
GB.
TC gets GB, and that could be a trap game because Plobin is Steven. Steven can neutralize a lot of what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a lot of stuff here in the air. I don't know. I think TSC is probably for me. For my money, they're the ones most likely to stumble. THD has TSC next and EXO, and like they seem pretty happy. PO has 2 harder matches, SP and NBS. So I think if you don't pick TSC to fall down, it's probably PO. So
Okay. I mean,
all
I
right.
think a lot is going to hinge on that NBS GB game in terms of tiebreakers.
Placements, yeah.
Yeah.
Because then if
Acid Rabbits essentially has this locked up though. If they can, if they win out against Deep Dive and then MBB, I mean they're obviously first seed. But even if they lose against MBB and beat Deep Dive, and they just go 1-1 or something like that, they have the head-to-heads against THD and PO both, which is pretty big, and also TSC. They have the head-to-head against literally everybody that could contend with them. Maybe aggregate might get a little weird or something like that, but for the most part, like they're really sitting pretty and almost guaranteed a top seed slot unless they lose both their next 2 games. If they lose both their next 2 games, then we could see a different world here. But looking somewhat unlikely. So yeah, I think AR is probably gonna be locked for a first seed, and there'll be a couple teams fighting it out for the second seed. And then, of course, the 5th and 6th seeds, since you guys are on those teams, not sure how you guys feel about this. I'm sure you guys think that you'll be the one sitting in 5th or 6th,
I mean,
and making the upper bracket. Lena's like, eh.
has
But I mean, if I take these teams, I mean, obviously NBS has a game in hand, but their schedule could be a little rough with GB and PO both. SB has been looking pretty weak recently and has PO and Deep Dive to go through. GB on the bubble too has TSC and NBS, which is pretty rough. And then MBB actually has an easier schedule, has EXO, but then AR. So if you can only take 2 of these teams, I
we
mean, it
also
might
don't
be. It might
have
be.
we don't have the head-to-head against 2 of them down here either. So
Yeah, I don't know about aggregate. We do like a 3-way tie or something like that.
Yeah,
We'll see how that goes. But
I mean, if MBB goes to the lower bracket, I pity whoever goes against
yeah,
them.
once
that's
again,
dangerous. The only way I think it's probably going to end up being like second breakfast. I mean, Nutter Butter Scudlers is actually less sure for me than second breakfast since you guys have the head to head and your schedule is like relatively. Our game is going to be hopefully. I mean, I guess pretty hard for you, but we'll see. And then the deep dive game should be a little easier considering their form. Like I think second breakfast is probably sitting relatively pretty because they have the head to head over MBB, who might also go 1-1 here.
I mean, if
GB,
MVB goes 2-0 though, that's the big thing.
yeah. GB has a dangerous schedule. I guess in terms of in order of what I think like who will actually make it to that slot, I can see a world where NBS finishes 0-2, MBB goes 1-1, second breakfast goes like 1-1. I don't know. Like there's a lot of possibilities here, but I think I might even favor second breakfast over NBS to make the fifth seed.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how all this shakes down. So
It's gonna be close.
yeah.
Look, but
All
I'm
right.
fine being in the lower bracket.
Yeah, you guys made a run.
Comfort zone for
Yeah,
Elena.
it's the comfort zone, which is the not comfort zone.
Hey, it's Mayo's comfort zone,
Oh,
right?
All right. Any questions? Do we
um,
feel any? Is
let's
anybody even
see.
around?
We got some random ones throughout that. Let's see. I think most of them are troll though. A lot of people wanted to see Will's cheekbones.
Yeah, they want to set
Show
up
'em your
a profile
cheekbones,
Yeah,
Will.
hype for the
of you for Mr.
cheekbones and
Will.
hype for the Will jawline.
5 subs and I show my
Oh,
Five
okay.
subs to see Will's cheekbones. Can we do it before the end? Let's see, let's see. Okay. Jenny asked a question, but I haven't read it, so I'll read it now. Has anyone really been far,
Oh
even
no,
as
no.
decided to use even go want to look to do more? What is this,
Why? Why
Jenny?
would no?
uh,
I
uh,
think the answer is are you win tomorrow big?
big. What? And Chase asked, how is PO's support going to play tomorrow's match when his mental is shattered after practice tonight?
Easy, Chase. You're
Let's
gonna have
just
a good night's sleep, and then you're gonna play something that's not Thresh.
if he's too tilted, we'll just swap him with Dan. Why not?
Oh my god.
Who
Super
says no? Look at that. THD reunites and Chase gets to experience not being flamed in lane.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a win-win. It's a win-win.
unless you
But no, I
lose.
think Chase will be fine.
Yeah.
Look, nobody could ever get as tilted as his friend Charlie is. So like, stands is pretty low now.
Charlie doesn't tilt. He just sounds like he's tilted.
Season 7 Charlie, what do you have to say about that?
He says,
Wait
"Wait,
a
what?"
Wait,
second.
what?
My counter argument, Elena, is did you not play with him recently where he played Gwen top?
Did he?
Because yeah, that was a sad tilt to Charlie.
I mean, okay, look, to be fair, MBB Charlie last season was the least tilted person on the entire team. So
Oh yeah, I believe that.
He was tilting other people with his cane.
true.
All right. Okay. I think that just about does it. Goodbye, friends.
The schedule.
Oh yeah, wait. Are we supposed to like show the schedule and
Yeah,
find out who wants to play who?
yeah, the schedule.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Who are
for
you
next time.
guys most looking forward to? Blah blah
Yeah.
Triple header Monday.
Oh
Gotta
my
love it.
blah.
god.
Oh no,
God,
not like this. How do
Suffering.
you schedule that?
I
Oh
blame you. I
no.
blame MBB. This
We
was fine
had
and dandy until we here
our one
today.
is good. It was cursed. There was literally only one day with 2 people missing. Every other day was 3 or more.
Oh no. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, if I don't have to pick my own game, the most hype game is TSC versus
Wait, wait,
THD.
wait,
Let's be
wait,
honest.
wait. We
we just
What?
got
got the
10. Yeah, we got
subs.
the subs
And
for the
then
Oh my god,
cheekbones.
cheekbones activate.
All
all
right.
over.
After the schedule, we get the Will cheekbones. All right.
Uh, all right. So the highlight match of the week, I think. Ooh, that's not a. I mean, the Monday opener is going to be pretty fun, but the Wednesday closer, because I think it has a little more implications for playoffs, is my go-to.
Hmm.
All right. Who's next?
Ooh,
Elena, what's your hype matchup?
I'm just doing a thought. I think for me, I think the most interesting will be the NPSGB one. Because I'm really not sure how it's going to go. Or the PO second breakfast one, because the same thing. Probably POSB a little more, I think, because we've only seen PO do the swap once. So we need to see again if there's actually something there, or if Brian's gonna say, all right, we gotta swap again before the season's over.
I mean,
Don't do this to us again, Dan. I mean, we
that would
still
be
haven't fully even settled on like if I'm mid or Mina's mid. We're still trialing stuff, so you know,
So I'm
could
here
be more
for the
swaps to come. Who knows?
swappers.
true. We see Brian play top finally, and says, "All right, I need to learn how to play this lane."
Has that ever happened? Have I ever played
No.
top in BTL? I'm not sure. I think I have. I think I played a Jace game where I went top, but not sure. That was a long time ago.
All right, Will, do you have a hype matchup?
I haven't quite looked at the matchups. I don't know of any off the top of my head. I bet. I don't know. I personally think PIO versus Second Breakfast is going to be a pretty good game.
Yeah, should be a good one. Unless we get some practice in.
Unless. Alright, so it's time for the cheekbones.
Oh my God!
Charlie says,
That's
quit
spamming.
delaying.
God.
You cannot deny us any longer.
This is the side profile.
Oh, this side
Yes.
profile, baby.
This is what your 10 subs got you, Javier.
Hey man, I got a sub from it, so thanks, Javi.
Pentamaster says, "Clip it." Someone clip it.
Clip those bones.
Best BTT
All right.
ever. All right.
All right. Anything else?
I think that's all we got.
I think that's all we got. All right. Thank
Mhm.
you for joining us. Tomorrow we have a whole slate of games, so tune in then. Peace out. Goodbye, friends.
Bye-bye.
Live from LA.